Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Student Counseling Center, I take immense pleasure in welcoming HODs, faculty, research scholars, and students to the webinar on mental health during lockdown and coping with the new normal. The resource person for this session will be Dr. Sandhya Rani Ramadas. Let me say a few words about the speaker. Sandhya Rani Ramadas ma'am is an organizational psychologist. She is the co-founder and managing partner of Element H Psychological Support Services, where she practices counseling and psychometry. She is a member of various psychological bodies such as BPS, APA, CCF. Her passion lies in research and psychometric assessment. She specializes in the field of seafarers and their mental health. She has co-authored 3 books on parenting, self-care, and personal growth. She has over 14 years of experience in counseling and training people belonging to all age groups. She is a certified supervisor for budding counselors and psychologists. So, without any further discussions, I'd like to welcome our speaker, Dr. Sandhya Rani Ramadas, to start the session. Please, ma'am, I would like the participants to post your questions in the chat box. We'll be answering the questions at the end of the session. I'll hand over to Sandhya Rani ma'am. You can continue, ma'am.
Thank you for the opportunity, Dr. Amritavalli, and also to Amit for inviting me. And it's a great honor to be part of this group and able to share my experiences and a little bit of knowledge. Just let me know if I'm audible enough. Are people able to hear me? So I'm going to share my screen. So today's topic is mental health for all and how to cope with it. I think for the past almost, I must say 2 years, because the COVID scare started in November, but the rumors started much earlier. And so I must say almost for the past 1.5 years, our life has totally changed. It's become so different. Priorities have become so different now. What was most important earlier is now maybe not so important, or something else is now more important. Staying alive, staying healthy is more important. But at the same time, we cannot be just in hiding. We need to go on. We need to move on with our day-to-day life. So this whole change is going to be something which is taxing. And so I want to share my PPT. So let me do the slide share now. Yes. So with that in mind, about how are we going to deal with this, and we don't know, maybe it's another 6 months or 1 year, or maybe a few more years, we don't know, but let's see how to start managing this. Right. So this is a little bit about me. I think you have already introduced myself. So I work with few organizations. Apart from that, we have an organization called Element H Psychological Support Services, where we provide counseling, assessment, training, therapy. So counseling is also part of my profile. So one-to-one counseling, as well as group counseling, family counseling, organizational counseling as well. So now the calls are like every day, back-to-back crisis calls are like hitting the roof. So just a small self-assessment. Just take these questions. I have felt cheerful in my life. Give a score of 0 to 5. All right. And I have felt calm and relaxed. 0 is never, and 5 is all the time. Yeah. I have felt active and I felt vigorous. 0 to 5. I woke up feeling fresh and refreshed. 0 to 5. My daily life has been filled with things that interest me. 0 to 5. Okay. So once you give your scores, you don't have to overthink. Just whatever comes to your mind spontaneously, you can just answer that. Add up the scores and multiply the total by 4. Yeah. So that is your well-being. This is called the well-being 5. And anything below 50 is not good. 80, above 80 is really good, but below 50 is something that you need to work on it. All right. So how are we going to work on it? We need to look at things that motivate us, interest us, that energize us, and let's see how much we can do that. Yeah, there are few coping that I have mentioned. I hope it will all be useful for you. So generally, when we say mental health, we think if somebody is not experiencing mental health, then they may look like this. They may be looking very angry or irritable, and maybe they may look very threatening and all that. But what statistics says is that 25% of the world population is experiencing some sort of mental, illness or ill health in varying degrees. So some of us may have mild, which is manageable by ourselves. Then we have moderate and severe, for which we might need external support. But it is something that can happen to 1 in 4 of us. All right, and it's just the degree that we have and the skills that we have to cope with it. That we have to look. If we can have diabetes, if we can have BP and normalize it, I think something like that is what even a depression or anxiety or whatever conditions, there are so many symptoms are there. So that's what we think. And there is always a stigma that we can't talk about mental health, then people will think that I'm going to shrink, and my job may be affected, my family may be ashamed of me, maybe nobody is going to like me, is it a lifelong condition? So there are so many stigmas which prevents people from acknowledging or taking it seriously or thinking about it. And I think culturally we've always kept others as a priority than us. So prioritizing oneself is considered selfish. But remember, self-care is not selfish. Right? So unless you care for yourself, you can't care for others. But when we look at who are the ones who needs help, we can see that these are individuals who are going through life events, going through major change, going through some kind of stress, going through some prolonged disturbed states where they are unable to cope with the normal state. They are motivated and willing to talk. Yeah, I think I'm being overwhelmed for the past few days. Let me just talk and see what it is. Able to realize something is miss. So something is not the usual for me, some not the routine for me. I don't know. So basically anyone and everyone may go through any of this at some point of their life. And so talking to a psychologist or counselor is something that is only going to be helpful and will make the transition easier for whatever you're going through, recovery easier. Right? You see, these are all people who at some point of their life have had some issues related to mental health, and they have managed to come out of it. If the prince is not spared, then nobody else is spared. Right? Some psychological aspects about people that we need to keep in mind is we are 50% nature, what we are born with, genetic factors, and 50% is how the environment, we are made up because of the environment. So when it is not a conducive environment, some issues may be more. And when you have very strong genetic or weak, genetic factor, hereditary factors, the susceptibility to, an issue is also more. Right? So we also have different traits forming in us because of our upbringing, experiences, and knowledge, and our attitudes. So they all contribute to certain personalities in us, where we inherently become someone who's maybe more tensed or more expressive, or less communicative, maybe very calm. But that doesn't mean that it's a condition or it's a problem. It's just that people's nature are like that. Right? We all learn in different speeds and different styles. So maybe what I say today, some of you may remember everything, but some of you may remember maybe just 1 or 2 points. That's because our learning speed and learning styles are going to be different. Right? And we have different ways of learning. Our attitude towards things, again, person to person, it may be different. The intensity of emotion experienced person to person may be different. Okay, so it depends on the type of stress we went through, what are the previous traumas that happened in our life. They all form our psychological component. They all form our psyche, right? And our behaviors to certain situations, how we respond, how we react. And the law of individual difference states that because of all this, and much more, each person is different. Each person is unique. No two people in the world are going to be the same. So we need to first of all accept that people will not react to a certain condition in the same way. Just because I reacted like this, it doesn't mean everyone else around me are going to react to things like this. So each person will react to certain things differently in their own way. So these are the most common symptoms during lockdown that was observed, the feeling overwhelmed, stressed. It is the same for walls and the same number of people probably you are meeting every day. And, the what people miss most is the traffic, from home to work, home is okay, work is okay. It's routine. But the traffic is the time that helps them unwind and that helps them to mentally shift to a work mode, from home mode to shift work mode. But suddenly there's no traffic. You're just walking from one room to another, or you're just opening your system. So you don't have the time. You're just rushing between home and office and work. And there doesn't seem to be that traffic time now for us to mentally prepare and get used to it. So we have to do it very quickly. So a sense of anxiety, fear, a lot of thoughts, sadness, crying spells. If you have any of this because of the lockdown, it's not happening only to you. It means that your body is responding to all these stresses in the way it knows. Right? So there are physical symptoms. Lack of sleep is a major, uh, concern that's happening everywhere. People hardly sleep between 12 and 2 a.m. is a very common time nowadays. Whereas earlier it was like, I have to get ready before this time, so I have to sleep early. So there was some structure. Now lack of structure is also disturbing because of the lockdown, which is again causing more stress because we are just piling up or postponing, or just it's a very life without any structure. All right. So, and this apprehension going to public places, going out. Those who are infected are worried about reinfection. Those who are not infected are worried about their family members who are, having probably some comorbidity or who are the at-risk group. Right? So, a lot of uncertainty. So, it's about survival. If I get infected, what if I lose my job? Will I live? Will my family members live? Would it be my fault? There's sometimes there are guilt. Did I give it to my family members? Maybe I was asymptomatic. A lot of guilt. And what access do I have to help? Past 2, 3 weeks was really chaotic in Chennai, where it's so difficult to get into hospital, and many of us might have lost somebody very dear to us or who are known to us. So all this is going to cause a lot of the issues, the worries about how am I going to survive this. Okay? And then followed by that is the insecurity. How long will I be employed? What are my promotion aspects? I dreamt of going to this fancy college. I dreamt of working here. I dreamt of getting my promotion. I dreamt of changing my jobs, but right now it is everything is like stagnant. It's still, it is just continuing with what is happening. There's hardly any change happening. And if at all, you won't even know because you're just from one website to another. Since everybody's working from home, it doesn't make a difference also. There's no change of place, there's no change of team. So we see a social disconnect here. The proximity with your fellow workers, the proximity is very important in bonding. The communication, it's all online. And we tend to misunderstand a lot, and you don't have opportunities. If you feel like you hurt someone, you can't see their face, so you don't know if they felt bad, so you don't get a chance to apologize also. And so the managers are worried, how do I take care of my team and their teamwork? It's so difficult, right? Suddenly identities are changing. I'm at home and there are new things that probably I never did in my life. I've started doing new roles. Probably we are all are learning to use the Dunzo app now. All are learning to contribute in the workplace, household work. If earlier it was very clear who's going to do what, but now it's all overlapping, right? So we're all sharing the workload together. And there is this symptom called touch starvation. Touch is, for humans, touch is very important. It's a sense of security and connection and belonging. So it's not just always hugging everyone, but it's just a sense of it gives a comforting feeling. So touch starvation also is noticed, which is making people feel lonelier and more isolated, right? Now the companies are trying to help employees look at what is it that would motivate people, maybe the Zoom, or maybe having more break time, or so they're trying to see. And these are things that we usually miss in the workplace, right? So there is a immediate response, like very good, and a kind of interdependency. Okay, this person will help me when I'm not able to do it. that competitiveness, so let us do it together. You always have a buddy at work to share your, house problems, and, you tend to laugh together. There is an immediacy. Things are get done immediately. And it's, I know when it's through mail and online, only limited amenities are available. So for example, there are people who say that I don't have AC in every room in my house, but when I go to office, I really enjoy that, it's air conditioned and I have regular tea and coffee and lunch coming. I don't have to worry about cooking or, carrying my food or finishing everything, because most, I think, companies are providing lunch to their employees unless they want to carry their own. So it's become a norm where you don't have to worry about. So now all this is again, you have to start from scratch. It's a new way of life, right? So what people are trying to look at is how it's, the bright side of probably working from home or working in lockdown. It saves time. It helps you be a little more laid back. There is a stretchable space and time. The competitiveness is missing, so it may suit your personality. So if I am a person who likes to work at home, and because I don't have somebody to take care of other things at home, so I would like to, so probably for them it's a blessing. They are very happy. I enjoy working from home, right? And it depends on the nature of the job. If it's a job that's, done using a laptop, they're okay, right? So there are, certain benefits of working from home, but earlier people used to love this, but now people are like, at least once a month I want to come out and meet my colleagues. This is getting too much, so they're going that. Some challenges are how to maintain the boundaries. There is no role clarity, illusion, availability of the person. I don't know when I can call this person, when I cannot. There are a lot of shift in the organization as well, in the appraisal process and the lack of mentorship. They're not able to observe their senior and learn. A lot of dynamics are missing. Right? So how do you cope? Yeah. So what organizations have done, few of the organizations have done is they set very realistic goals, so they give more time, or they break it down more. It's not the same as it would be when we are all working together. So they keep it very realistic. They make it, very, very attainable. And the boundaries, this is the time you work, this is the time you don't come to meetings, this is the time you come to meetings. So very clear boundaries, because everybody assumes because you're at home you can come anytime and work, but it's not so. You have to keep clear boundaries, right? And an accommodating culture. Okay, your child is coming and popping in the, computer, or people are walking by, they're okay. There's somebody walking behind, they're okay, right? It's not that, okay, I'm going to penalize you, but we have to maintain a basic decorum also, right? It has to be a sense of professionalism that gives us that seriousness when we start to work. Yeah, so the diversity is respected more, so you can be yourself. More time to communicate is given. And so now individuals are not kept accountable for many things. It's more group, so they look out for each other, take care of each other, because there is always some in connectivity issue. There is always one person unable to join because of something else. So it's always the group more. They're providing medical support, and jobs are on rotation basis. Sense of security is given to them, and more organizations are giving them access to mental health practitioners, opportunities to vent, having regular meetings, so that, whatever challenges you are able to discuss. And they also have some morale boosting activities, like having a watch party, like everybody watches a movie together, or they have a Zoom dinner date, like, you all bring your dinner, and sit on Zoom, and it'll be casual, it'll not be about work. And probably the talent day, where you are able to record something and then you play it. So, another side of you is also seen. No phone day, so that one day nobody will, pick up their phone, so each person can have one phone, no phone day. So that day others will not disturb them. Like, it's memes, through videos, through virtual games. They have book reading club, like, they read a chapter and then they discuss about it. These are some activities that are done. So how will you build a relationship in the workplace? So the few things that they have done is, um, being more empathetic, more expressing more gratitude, appreciation, acknowledgement, and acknowledging the fact that we all are struggling the same. No matter who you are, we are all in this together. Talking about things that were really fun, and maybe sharing albums, sharing photos, having fun games, having group calls, a few things that are being done by organizations. And how to promote mental health by organizations, we can see that more and more awareness programs, posters, volunteer work, the psychological first aid, helplines, more and more supervision and training, how to manage the existing illness and comorbidity as safe as possible. So, more awareness at the same time, expressing the fact that we are there to support you is what organizations are doing. Right? How would individuals proceed? We need to understand, like I spoke about the psychological factors, that each person's situation and trigger is going to be different. Okay, so sorry, the trigger will be the same, the scare is going to be the same, but how you react, how you think, how you feel, how your body reacts to it is going to be different from person to person. So somebody's raised their hand. Is it something that I should look at, Amritavalli?
Yeah, ma'am, I have seen.
Okay, okay.
Sudhakar, I think.
Yeah, if it is a Q&A, we'll have it at the end of it. But if it is some network issue or slide issue, let me know. Okay. So,
Yeah, you can carry on.
yes, yes. Right. So, we need to understand that our emotional brain is much faster than our thinking brain. There are two parts in the brain, the thinking part and the feeling part. The feeling part is very primal and it's there to protect us. So, it is very reactive, it acts instantaneously. The thinking part has to gather the information, process, and gradually only it will work. So our emotional brain is constantly consuming all our energy, making us feel tired, making us feel exhausted, because it's taking in all the energy when it is reacting to threats. So there is a constant state of brain. So we need to understand what's happening to us. What are our triggers? What is it that am I reacting to this emotionally through my thinking brain or through my feeling brain? So we need to analyze our behaviors and thoughts and feelings. And whenever there is a thought of panic or unhelpful thought that is coming to your mind, that this is the end, there is no hope, what am I going to do? Always remember, any thought that passes by, your brain is a thought machine. Its job is to think. All right. So you have to ask these 5 questions. It's called the think. Okay, the acronym called think. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? If this thought is true, many times we see a forward or a video and then we panic. Yeah, so we have to double check if this message is true or if the thought that is coming is true. Is it helpful to me? Yeah, or is it not helping me at all in proceeding? Is it inspiring me? It makes me want to do something. Is it necessary? Right? Is it kind to you? If it is not meeting this think acronym, it means that you need to just leave it as a thought, like how your heart beats, your brain thinks. So there are going to be many thoughts coming. But when it is meeting this 5 condition is when you take it seriously. Otherwise, yes, let it come and go, let it pass. It's like the passing cloud, let it pass. Individuals, we should also know what are our stresses. Though we may have major stresses, which is like, one tsunami or one earthquake that happens once a while, it can be an accident or something. There are also minor stresses that has a cumulative effect. So day to day stress can also keep building and building, and it has a cumulative effect. And what do we do about this is, when we try to unhook from that, so it is holding you and not able to let you go. How do we unhook? Is when we say, yeah, in spite of this, I'm doing because something else is more important to me, and that is your values. How are you going to commit is through your values, right? And many times right now, we are not aiming, let's not aim for extremely good, perfect, excellent. We are just to be alive, good enough. So good enough is better than good. Yeah, so that's what we need to look at. Good enough food, good enough wife, good enough house, husband, house, good enough girlfriend, or good enough colleagues, good enough salary. So we just have to look at, is it good enough, right? So that's what we need to focus on. Now, whenever we go through stress, there are healthy coping skills and not so healthy coping skills, right? So the healthy coping skills are something that helps us to be productive, helps us understand ourselves. We are self-aware. We know that, yeah, let me talk to someone about this. Let me take someone's help. Probably we'll exercise when we are feeling stressed, or probably we'll ask the right questions. But not healthy coping skills are very easy. Addiction, smoking, drinking, whatever it is, binge eating, gadget addiction. No, so not healthy coping is very easy, and it's because it gives you immediate reaction. We tend to do it more. No, so there are conflicts and repeating negative thoughts, self-harming, yelling, fighting, giving up too easily. These are all not healthy coping skills. Okay. Some of the healthy coping skills are staying connected. As a rule, you have to talk. The reason why we need to talk is, even whether you're an introvert or extrovert, when you talk, your feeling brain, from your feeling brain mode, you're in a thinking brain mode. Your thinking brain gets activated when you're talking. All right. Cherish your break time. No point stressing over people who are different from you. If they're different, they're different. All right. They have a right to be different. Protect the ones being bullied or somebody, because when you care for someone, when you do things for others, you have happy hormones releasing in you. So exercise releases happy hormones and calming hormones in you. Call people, because social support releases happy hormones in you. Develop a skill, because learning secretes happy hormones in you. So all this is within us. All right. Keep telling yourself you're enough and you can handle. You have to keep reminding, yes, I can handle it. Whatever it is, I would be able to manage it. I can handle it. You have to keep reminding yourself. Visualize your larger goals, and remember, you don't have to please everyone. Now, once in a while, it's important to say no. These are some 1 minute activities to immediately de-stress. So you can all stand and do spot jogging, right? So we can stand in a place and do for 90 steps, or for 1 minute or 2 minutes. That really refreshes you. If you're sitting for a long time and you're getting very irritable, just do some spot jogging. You will see you can do anything, jumping jacks or sit-ups, whatever your body allows you. So do some stretching. If not jogging, just do some stretching. Open your arms and just do some stretching. Sip some water. Always have a bottle of water all around the house. So you remember, set an alarm every 1 hour to sip water. That is a better habit. This is one dietitian told me. Instead of telling drink 3 liters, 4 liters, 2 liters water every day, just tell drink a glass of water every 1 hour. This is more doable, right? So just sip a glass of water every 1 hour. Whenever you see the time cross, okay, go drink water. Breathe out loud. you know, just breathing out loud makes you feel relieved. Just loudly let all the toxins go out. Breathe out longer. So that you can try that. Look at something distant and close. That's for your eye fatigue. So looking at the laptop can cause this irritability, and you can't differentiate, is it your eye pain or head pain, headache. So look at something, maybe just come out of the door or balcony or window and look at something, probably the sky or a tree or some bird. Try to look at something which is far off. That is good for your eyes. That's a good exercise, for some time. Focus on your breath. Now, that is a relaxing activity. Just sit being mindful, just focus on your breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Remember who's in control. All right. So always remember you are in control of what's happening around you. Right. And stretches. These are all 1 minute activities that you can do to immediately. It's like first aid for the stress. Now, WHO recommends that self-care or being healthy means someone who's physically healthy, mentally healthy, and socially healthy. Okay. So physically healthy, WHO has told that 30 minutes of activity is important for everyone, and more for children. At least 1 hour of physical activity. Very sadly, it's all going off in video games or just TV. Within your limitation, within the house, how can you have it? Can be yoga or stretching or walking around or playing some game where you're physically involved, skipping, so many things that you can do. Try to do physical activity. Having a balanced diet, I think you need to keep in mind that you're not utilizing as much energy as you would when you're outside. So accordingly, you have to have your portion control. Sleep, night 10 to morning 4 a.m. is very important. Those who sleep in this time have told that they're very productive, and sleeping any other time is not that great. Take frequent breaks, like every 1 hour take a 5 minute break, and every day just for 10 minutes have your me time. 10 minutes of not doing anything, just they call it like zoning out, or whatever it is, being yourself or vibing, whatever it is. Now so many the young people have the jargons. So something that or just walk for 20 minutes, walk a step and sit. So whatever it is, just where you're not spending time with anyone, neither with your colleagues nor with your family members, just 10 minutes by yourself at home. Yeah. These are a few more recommendations, few suggestions that WHO, so like skipping, active video game where you're physically doing, dancing to music, exercises, balance training, muscle strength. So within the limitations, whatever is possible. How would we maintain our social well-being? Now, social well-being, proactive, you offering to help someone, you taking an initiative is very helpful. Being pro-social service really, makes people feel a sense of contentment and peace. So if we can help. If you're able to forgive, that makes you feel better. If you've been holding grudges, maybe just call and you can either apologize if you feel that you have made a mistake, or you can ask for forgiveness, or you can say that I was angry with you so far, but now I think we should patch up and we should move on. Or I'm just forgiving you. Maybe you don't want to see the person again, but forgive and then forget that person. It's lighter on you. It's good for your mental health when you let go of unwanted grudges. What are you going to do with that? Yeah. Right. Expressing gratitude, always not comparing. I also want that, they have this, so I want this, but rather telling I have enough. No, I have food on my table, I have a roof, it's enough. Yeah. I'm alive, that is enough for now. It is just that. Breathe, you know remember to breathe, think and smile, being peaceful. Have a network, have a group to vent, have a group to take help from. It can be a group of 2 or 3 people or 10 or 20 people, it's up to you, but then have a group. You should have, your buddy group. How would you help your team and family? Right? First of all, if they want to say anything, that even though you already know it, it's good to listen, because when you listen and validate, yes, this has happened to me and this can happen to you, then it means that you're validating. Remind them how they handle things earlier. Right? Also, playing some fun activities together. Encourage every small step. No, it's not that you have to it's always not major milestones, but even small steps should be appreciated. Establish routine and self-care. Play fun activities together, So there are board games. There are so many things. You can just draw something on a paper and do some tic-tac-toe or Sudoku. And encourage every small step and bring in hope. Talk that, yeah, this will gradually become better, So every small improvement should be acknowledged and appreciated. Bring in the fact that we are all important and let them know they are not alone. Okay? Establishing routine is very useful, So when you have structured time to do what to do when, then that is very useful. Have like a weekly thing. If you can't stick to a daily plan, have a weekly plan. So within a week, whenever possible, you try to finish all this. So that's easier to process. Right? You can always remind people how they handled earlier also. Like, this was how we handle now. I mean, earlier during a crisis, earlier during a major change, I adapted like this. Maybe I can take some lessons from there. Right? So talk about that. How do we maintain relationships? It's so easy to pick up fight and become irritated with each other, and so it's so easy. And also, you're not meeting your colleagues every day. Relationships can be easily strained. So sharing household work together, doing any kind of work together connects you. It's about, the bonding happens. Watching some albums or photo albums or, videos together. Order something for each other. Maybe you can just order as a surprise. It can even be a chocolate, for the other person. So it makes the other person feel special. Say wow and appreciate every moment. Wow costs nothing, right? Say wonderful and thank. Yeah. Everything you can say wonderful. Wonderful, you got me a glass of water. Wonderful, you got me tea. Yeah, wonderful that we are able to finish this today. Right. So just try to wonder, because these are all activities which are secreting happy hormones, healthy hormones. Right? Talk about key moments together, like make like a biography. What are the important moments, and talk about them. Playing games, have a watch party, So watch party, I feel, has helped children a lot, especially the college students, because it kind of makes them feel like they're doing something together, the being part of a group. sharing memes, having a hobby group, making calls, a few things. Some thoughts you can challenge is, when people have this unhelpful thought, this will break me, I should not be, I should always be happy. It's not possible, right? This will break me. No, you have managed this far, so you can still. There is no help. No, that's because you haven't asked, or nobody knows what's happening to you. There is always help. Everyone is happy but me. That is again, you have a right to be happy. Why is it that everyone is, and why you shouldn't be, right? I don't need anyone. Social support, biologically we need people. There are certain hormones in your body which are secreted only when you're with people. When you have the safety and comfort of a group. So we do need a group. I'm a failure and a stupid. Now that is something that you are telling yourself and you want to conform to it, right? So problems, as long as you see your failures and problems as something that is happening to you, part of you and not you, then you can always manage it. No one is doing what I want. Why should they? All are trying to put me into trouble. Why should they? We have better things to do, right? How do we promote mental well-being? So those are all social well-being activities. How do we promote mental well-being? It's like, how do we cope with stress? Having stress management strategies like delegation, planning, prioritizing, able to ask for help, managing your time. These are all techniques that we need to develop. Having a structure, having a plan, breaking down your plans into achievable targets, right? And how do you deal with your emotion? Are you able to recognize what emotion you're going through? Are you able to acknowledge them? Use it as your strength. Emotions give you energy, so use your emotion to charge you, energize you. So use it to help others, calm down as well. So that's your emotional intelligence. So where you can manage your emotion and others' emotions. Have a hobby, anything that distracts you, any work you do where you're not getting paid for it, but you are just enjoying doing it, is something that is going to build your ability to cope with stress. So have a hobby, doing something you can enjoy or learn something new. Some of the hobbies that people have told are gardening, reading, learning a new language, maybe see some do it yourself videos, cook something, building things. You can learn. So many options are available. Get a book or get an app, or just start doing it. Whatever materials you need, just it may not cost much. If it is a simple painting, you just have to order one set of brush and paints. Then slowly you will know if you want to do it. But make a start if you haven't. Relax. Every day, 30 minutes of just sitting and deep breathing. It can be your meditation, can be your praying, or just deep breathing. You don't have to belong to any cult for it. You can do it even without belonging to any cult. Look at your protective factors. Now, these are very important. What is acting as my buffer all my life? Whenever I had challenges, who was my buffer? What was helping me to cope? Try to remember them. Right? What is it that you can repeat from the past experience? Try to imagine all the happy memories. Go on a mental vacation. Who's stopping you? Just imagine, oh, I went there. I went to this place. It was so much fun. Reliving those moments. Try to ground if you're stressed. Be in the moment on, looking around, and so that whenever these thoughts are occupying, suddenly there will be disconnect with the reality. So try to ground. Right? Accept what is not in your control and what is in your control. If we cannot control certain things, we cannot change certain things, just accept. Don't let it bother you and stress you. Yeah, if this is lockdown is there, I can't do anything. It is there, I have to accept and cope with it. Remember, you're not the problem. It is something happening to you, which is happening to a lot of people around. So try to detach from the problem. Right? See, it's all about here and now, not about yesterday or tomorrow. Right? Like we said, the protective factors, hobby, physical activity, family, buddy groups, follow a medical doctor's advice if you're taking medication. So these are all things that we need to maintain. Using a solution focused approach, is very important while dealing this problem. Now, solution focused therapy is one kind of therapy where we don't talk about the problem, we only talk about the coping and management and the solutions. All right, some lessons from that approach I would like to share here is, let it be very slow, one step at a time. If your problem on a scale of 1 to 10 is 7 or 8, Be happy it is not 10, right? And if your problem is 8 for a long time, be happy it did not go to 9. It is still an 8. That means you're doing something to not become worse. And if your problem is even reducing to 7, even that small change is important. 8 to 7 is important. Progress is good, right? So one step at a time. You're alive now, cherish it. What you have is what we need to look at rather than what we don't have. What helped me keep going? What kept me going on till now? Supposing, after some years we all come out of this, what is the story you're going to tell your grandchildren, right? Or the next generation. What is the story you're going to tell? How did you handle it? So when we look at all the solutions and management, we will be more optimistic, more motivated. Building your psychological capital, we call it the hero. That is, in times like this where it's so difficult to have any kind of positive energy, we need to build this in us to be more and more positive, which is hoping that things will get better. My goals are there. There are things that gives me joy. Let me do it. The hero, the psychological capital is called the hero. H for hope, E for efficacy, believing, yes, I can handle this, believing in your ability. Let me see how else it can be done. If this does not work, how else can it be done? Building your resilience. Oh no, there has been a setback. Okay, let me get back to it. Why am I here in what is my larger purpose? Why was I here in the first place? Let me not forget that. And building the resilience. Optimistic. What did I learn from this? How am I benefiting from this? Yeah, this is just a temporary setback. I can still progress. Things are going to get better. So these are small statements that you can keep reminding yourself that this is not a permanent state. It will keep changing. So nothing is permanent. Right. So to summarize, we need to remember self-care is very important in maintaining mental health, understanding your personality, understanding your triggers, and practicing all the 1 minute activities are very helpful. Remember, unless you care for yourself, you can't care for others, right? Accept that, yes, this has happened. I cannot change it. Look at what is keeping you going. Observe from all angles. What is your personal motivating statement? Have your statement. Recently I came across a statement, just do it. It was a very interesting statement. So that way, what is your motivating statement? So what is your value and purpose in life? So life is a gift. So being alive itself is the biggest gift for now. So tackling issues one at a time. Be the turtle. You don't have to be the eagle or the lion or anything. We just have to be the turtle, which takes one small step at a time, but it keeps moving. So that's something that we need to look at. There are two books which are really good, and I think during these times one can connect to it very well. One is Ikigai. That is a lot of Eastern approaches have been put together by these two authors, and a little bit of Zen and a little bit of Japanese, secrets. Beautiful book, very simply written. And another is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. So this is the doctor who survived the Holocaust with one purpose in life. So he had something to live for. So based on his work, the whole new school of therapy called logotherapy evolved. So man's, finding a purpose, finding a meaning to push through. Finding something that you can hold on to, push through. So these are two books I think that are the great reads. I would recommend that. So try, read, and let me know how it was for you as well. So thank you so much. That's I'm coming to the end of my talk. I'm open to questions now. We can stop screen share. Old people staying alone without much exposure to technology or social groups. Any special message to them to cope up with the situation? I think it's the support that they get from their family members is very important. And like I said, I think it takes a longer time for someone old because of a biological reason that the brain cells are aging and they get slower once people cross their 50s or 60s. So if you can be patient, if you really want to teach them things, just you you have to be more patient. Maybe you have to spend 3 or 4 times the time that you would normally spend with someone else to teach a particular skill. Yes, that is something. And I think with gratitude, I think they would really be happy when people are expressing gratitude with them, doing things with them. And if they are not physically able to share the household work, keeping them updated. This is what is happening, this is what we are doing. So just keeping them updated with information is also helpful for them. Because often they feel like everybody is doing something, but I am not told what is happening, makes them feel left out, right? So just update them, let them know, playing games with them, or I think if they can attend calls, even phone calls are very helpful for them.
Maybe I have a question.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, for students who are taking up this online session,
Hmm.
how to get motivated them to attend a class. Maybe the concentration is not there throughout the day. So even though we take the class from 9 to 4, they will not be able to concentrate. How to bring that concentration to the subject? Or
See, first of all, we need to understand there is going to be fatigue looking at the screen. We need to acknowledge that with them, right? And I think projects and activities which they can do in between, probably keeping it interactive, keeping some activity which they have to do it as a group. So those things where they have to find out something or do something and then share it, that would be more helpful. In between having more activities, I think is what, when it is continuous theory, listening and the eye strain, we have to acknowledge. So please give more breaks, first of all. Let them have some water or have planned water breaks, have planned breaks, and have more activities than just theory. So there are many ways of teaching. It's not only lecture. So I think if teachers can look at alternate ways of teaching, because they are now better equipped with all these online resources than us. So they themselves will give the idea. I think that's something we need to look at.
maybe one more question, ma'am. I'll ask you.
Please.
Maybe for ladies, you can tell them they'll be handling the household jobs also, and now online also it is happening. How to take care of their mental health? So
Yes.
that is very prioritizing, and they have to take care of the whole family. So
Right.
it is very, 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 very difficult the situation now.
Right. So, few things. One is me time. That 10 minutes of me time, I think, as a rule, between this time to this time, nobody should disturb me. Even if the milk boils over, even if the food is over, you all take care of it. This 10 minutes is mine. So that's something. And walk around and sit, accordingly. If you're sitting for a long time, just get up and walk. And if you're walking around a lot, try to sit more frequently, drinking water and all that. And I would also say that, see, many times it becomes the identity of the mother or the person at home that only I will do this, and they don't allow others to contribute or help. So if they've been doing everything by themselves, because that is what we know, they also need to let the family members know that it is not possible unless all of you are there to help me out, right? So they have to be assertive, make everyone be part of the whole routine, not just only when this person is tired. And there are enough research to say that children who shared housework, who share house load with parents, are more, better in decision making and more successful in life than children who are, always somebody else was doing and they were only studying or working. So it's important to bring, and if they can bring in the father at least something, they should somehow make them contribute, maybe throwing out the garbage, things that is possible and feasible. And it takes time to train them if they're not used to it, but taking help is very important. Don't try to do everything by yourself. In the end, nobody is going to give some medal of honor saying you are the superhero or anything. Okay, ultimately self-care again. You don't care for yourself, you won't be able to do things for others also. Okay? And exercise is important. Sometimes, when you cross 40 or 45, there are changes happening in your body. Acknowledge and slow down accordingly. Also, please meet your doctor. You may need some supplements, because our food is, especially in the city, we don't know how much of the food is all that pure, and not everyone can afford organic and all that. So try to take the necessary supplements as well. So that's also important.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. We have questions.
Ah,
I have one question in my mind. Only things going on. How to relax our mind for things.
how to relax. So what is
Yeah,
it
how to
that you
relax for
enjoy? Yeah, can you be more specific?
how to relax our mind with negative things.
Okay, so when you get negative thoughts, how to relax? Okay, remember that think
Yeah,
acronym. Every time you get a thought, you need to ask, is it true, or is it something I'm only telling myself? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring me? Is it necessary? Is it kind? If it is not any of this, then let it just pass. We call it the passing cloud. Like how your heart beats, your brain thinks. So there will be million thoughts coming in your mind. You don't have to take everything seriously and act upon it. You have to prioritize and choose what are the thoughts you will take seriously and what you will not. So let it just pass like a cloud. Okay, this is a thought coming to me. Just become the sky observing the cloud. So just observe it, let it pass. Understand the triggers. When am I
yeah.
getting these thoughts? When you understand the triggers, you will probably also be able to challenge that thought. Is there a proof for it? Is there an evidence for it? So these are things that we can do to handle negative thoughts.
Okay.
If
Thank
you
you,
give me an
ma'am. One more
example, I
question.
can actually challenge it. Yeah. Remember one slide where I have given examples on how to challenge your thoughts.
Okay, we'll move on to the next question, ma'am. How can we handle the excessive energy of a teenager positively without much resistance from them?
Okay. Oh, the questions are here. How to relax.
Yeah.
Excessive energy of
That
teenager
we have you
positively
have
without
answered. Yeah.
resistance. Yes. So teenagers, see, right now if they like video games, so we are not worried about them playing games, but we are worried because of the game addiction, right? So whether they're watching videos or audios or something, the more and more they participate in things at home, the more and more you have like a rule between this time to this time we all will watch TV together, we all will watch the news, whatever it is, the more and more they're able to do participate, be part of the house, they are going to be more and more excited, the game addiction and all that will be lesser. And the energy that they have, some physical activity is important. It can be do some online challenge, you have the push up challenge or sit up challenge, or the core challenge. So there is 1 hour of physical activity is important for them. So try including that as part of their routine in a creative way. So otherwise it's very difficult, they are going to become very irritable.
Okay. One more question. How to improve the family bonding since close circle may vanish due to COVID-19 nowadays? This is maybe this everybody will be
Mm.
experiencing this.
Yeah, we are not able to attend the weddings. We are not even able to go. If somebody, I mean, it should not happen, but it has happened that people die very close to us. Die. We are not able to say our goodbyes. So the bonding is slowly going. So right now we have to accept that it is. We are all at home to be safe, to take care of each other. You are not only taking care of yourself, you are taking care of your family members by staying at home, by being in the lockdown, right? So they will also understand that it's not that deliberately you are avoiding them or not meeting them. They will also know that somewhere there is a disconnect because of the lockdown. And so alternate ways that we have mentioned in maintaining relationships, regular calls, video calls, um, maybe just you can some once in a while order something for them, like order some food or a sweet or somebody you care about, you want to connect with, you can share some old photos with them and talk about it, old events, old memories. you know so there are families which have a planned Sunday Zoom calls, so they come on Zoom, all the family members, and just say hi and go. alternate ways to, stay connected. And this is also a nice time for getting rid of unwanted social obligations also. Right? So there is an advantage to that as well. So you probably, where you never wanted to go, you've been forced to go, maybe you can just use it, that, yeah, right now I'm happy, I'm not forced to do all that. So we can also look at the bright side. On a lighter note.
Okay. Ma'am, how to go away with the negative things that come in mind, the things going on?
Yes, right. I think I'll share the screen. I would like an example. When we say negative, what is it that you mean by negative, Akshay? If you can give me an example. So negative thoughts usually, you have to understand it is triggered because of something, right? What is it that is triggering that negative thought? Is it a fight? Is it something that I want to do, I'm not able to do? Is it some forward that I read, or is it just coming on its own? So try to see what is the negative thought that is coming and question it. Why am I getting this thought? Let me come to that slide where we question. Yes. So these are the popular negative thoughts. It happens only for me, but not for everyone else. Why isn't everyone listening to me? Oh my God, what will happen to my future? So right now, just taking small steps. Accept, yes, I am getting these thoughts, but right now I'm just taking small steps. I'm just surviving. I'm just being alive. And keep finding evidence. Where is the proof that this is going to be true? It is a thought. What is the truth behind it? So try to question that, and try to question your thought by saying, if it is something like there is no scope, there is no help, I'm feeling helpless, I'm feeling hopeless. Question: did I try everything to get some support? And believing that, okay, all these negative thoughts are coming, I'm thinking the worst, but remind yourself that, yeah, I can handle it. Whatever happens, I can handle it. I have handled so far, so I can handle now also. So that's something that you can practice.
I think no more questions are there in the chat box. Maybe we'll wind up the session.
Yes, you can email or
Any other questions anyone has?
So there is a question by Ami here in the chat box that people are working from home now, and they overlook their personal life. So they are overloaded with work and very helpful, stressful. I think building the boundaries are very important. There has to be a structure where you're very clear, this is the time that I am going to spend for my eating or my self-care or my hobby. This is the time I'm going to spend for office. Be very firm. Assertiveness is very important in creating that boundaries. Or be realistic. This is not something I can do in a day. I need 3 days for this work. So give me some more time. Be very, very realistic.
Ma'am, I can see one more question in the chat box.
Ah.
Everybody logging, what to do and whom can approach?
What does that mean?
What is it?
Is it in the chat box or the Q&A?
Yeah, it is in the chat box. I don't think he is talking about anything about this logging in problem he is doing. Okay. Okay, it was indeed a very good session, very interactive session, and it was indeed a privilege to have Dr. Sandhya Rani Ramadas for this session, who gave us an insightful talk on mental health during lockdown and coping with the new normal, which was full of wisdom and loads of information on taking care of our mental health. Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of Student Counseling Center, we thank you for joining with us. An event of this dimension cannot happen overnight. the wheel starts rolling months in advance. We thank our Vice Chancellor, Dr. G. Thiruvasagam sir, Registrar, for letting us to carry out this event successfully. And last but not least, thanks to the participants for their interactive participation in this session. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Mrthavalli, and thank you, Amit team, for allowing me to share whatever I have gathered over the years. And it's great that the questions were great, and I'm looking forward to more collaborations. Thank you so much.
Yeah, meeting you again, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks a lot.